A mi sada uživo iz Tel Aviva uključujemo SEFI KEDMI-a, direktora tvrtke koja se bavi medijskom analizom s diplomom iz ekonomije i politologije. Good evening, Mr. KEDMI. Thank you for joining me.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here, although under very bad circumstances.
I know. What is the current situation?
Znam, kakva je trenutačna situacija i atmosfera u vašem području?
So currently, the military is trying to finalize and find the last terrorists that are still within Israel, to save the last civilians that are still under fire, and to get organized towards the retaliation or the attack that will happen in Gaza, probably.
Pitanje. Dakle, pitala sam vas, mislite li da je ovaj napad iznenadio?
Oh yes, definitely. This is Israel's 9/11 or Pearl Harbor. This is obviously a fiasco. This is a horrible negligence from the side of the Israeli intelligence and the military. And the entire country is in shock. You know, we're the strongest military in the Middle East, very sophisticated, and we were caught by surprise by a terrorist organization that probably didn't even anticipate to succeed that much from their point of view.
Are the people and the media putting this attack
da li građani i mediji stavljaju ovaj napad u politički?
Well, you can't get away from the political context. It's always in the air. There is a big discussion in Israel, you know, about the demonstrations that we've had. But in these times, Israelis unite. And right a few minutes ago, the head of the Israeli opposition, Yair Lapid, the former prime minister, offered the Prime Minister Netanyahu to establish a unity government, especially for that cause, and to leave all the differences aside, just like it happened in 1967 and 1973, in the last major wars Israel was involved in. People are still very much divided, but when it comes to fighting, everybody who can and needs to go to military reserves does so without any hesitation.
Bez ikakvog oklijevanja. Shvaćam, dakle, oni su ujedinjeni. A kakvo je prevladavajuće mišljenje prema Netanjahu?
Well, to be honest, the focus is not towards him. The people who like him probably still support him to some extent, and then the people who dislike him were very much against this negligent situation. But the people now, they mainly focus on how we deal with the situation as a country, how we, first of all, tend to the wounded. We have more, probably tens or if not more, kidnapped civilians, including kids and elderly in Gaza. We have thousands of wounded and hundreds of dead. And we still need to stabilize the situation and form the best formation of a government that would be able to deal with it, with the best minds and most skilled military and security personnel. This is what we expect of our government. And as we do in most other cases, after we deal with it, then we will investigate and deal with the circumstances and ramifications and findings of any committee that will be established.
Predviđanja su da je ovo tek početak još jednog dugoročnog.
Well, probably there would be a conflict now. Israel is gearing up to war, and probably Gaza would be severely attacked. And from Israeli point of view, this is like Daesh and their actions against civilians in Iraq and other places. And Gaza is considered to be an enemy state now. And therefore, there is a big gear up towards war. including probably ground forces that will very likely enter Gaza. However, this situation was probably not planned by Hamas to garner to get to so many casualties and so many to succeed from their point of view. So they probably did not expect and do not expect to have to go to an all-out war, but this is what will happen. And if Hezbollah or Iran or anybody else would join, that would be very sad for their civilian populations in these countries that will have to endure the ramifications of war. But Israel is ready and would be ready and has been preparing for an all-out war, although it wished for peace. And basically, this is what they tried to achieve. Hamas that was cornered, they tried to derail the peace process and negotiations with the Saudis to prevent peace.
Kako bi se održao i očuvao mir. Dakle, kažete da ove možda nisu očekivali. Dakle, rat, što mislite, što su očekivali?
Well, I think they expected to have a limited operation whereby they will be able to kidnap some people, cause some casualties in Israel, and to remind the world that they exist, because of the peace process between Israel and Saudi and the line of normalization between Israel and other Arab countries that was expected to continue, they were very much cornered. They felt like they were sidelined without any allies and without nobody taking them serious. However, they succeeded from their point of view because nobody stopped them, unfortunately. So we have so many casualties that no country would ever be able to ignore or to mildly retaliate. So we can expect an all-out war now from Israel that would once and for all try to capitulate and decapitate Hamas and Islamic Jihad and the other organizations, because this is what all the Israeli public demands of our government. We have been very tolerant for many years in the sense that we have been able to accept rockets coming from Gaza because we have developed Iron Dome and the anti-rocket system that kept the casualty level low. So the population was able to absorb to a certain extent a level of terrorism. But now the numbers are crazy. And people are furious, and it doesn't matter if you're a liberal or conservative, religious or secular, right or left. People demand a very, very harsh reaction, and there would not be any way out of it. Afterwards, Israel will have to deal internally with its own problems and lick its wounds. But first and foremost, Gaza would have to be dealt with once and for all, because what we've had today and what we've had in the last 15 years since Israel left Gaza unilaterally in 2005, 18 years ago, will not be tolerated anymore.
To se više ne može tolerirati. I zadnje pitanje, kada promatrate to da u Palestini slave ono što se dogodilo, govore o okupaciji, o ljudskim pravima, kako se vi osjećate?
Well, I myself am a peace activist, or a very big supporter of the two-state solution and the rights for Palestinians for self-determination and independence. But on the other hand, one can never accept these barbaric and inhumane celebration of butchering of kids and elderly and people in their sleep, and a party of 5,000 people, innocent civilians coming to party. This is nothing to celebrate. Just like, Daesh that did what they did. Anyone who celebrates this dehumanizes themselves. The problem with the occupation is it needs to end, or the Israeli control over other people's lives needs to end. But this is not the way to end it. And unfortunately, and the people who support these kinds of violent actions, crimes against humanity, murdering people, civilians, kidnapping kids, the people who did this and support it will realize that they will try to get rid of occupation, but they will probably get a by far more violent and determined reaction from Israel for their actions, and they will have very, very little to celebrate. This is very, very sad because obviously there are civilians on the other side and they deserve to live in dignity. But their leaders for the past 18 years have chosen. They have chosen the war, the path of terror. They've chosen to put civilians in their line of fire. They've chosen to take their own civilians as human shields, and Israel can no longer tolerate it, especially after today. And no country in Europe or in the West or any other country that respects its own civilians could not react severely with all its might, and Israel has a lot of it, to such heinous crimes.
Na ovakve strašne zločine. Hvala vam najljepša na utrošenom vremenu i na gostovanju u našoj emisiji. Čuvajte se i hvala još jedanput.
Thank you, and thank you to all the people from Croatia for your support, and I wish this would end soon. Thank you very much.